Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is the latest Manchester United transfer news as we delve into what is looking like an Erik ten Hag transfer budget cut before he spent £1. We'll also be talking about economic levers. I think you're going to be hearing a lot about these over the next 24 hours. I'll explain why. We've also got the latest on something we feared wouldn't happen, but because Rangnick left, Erik ten Hag looks like he wants to spend time looking at players that we should have already decided to leave, which is wasting more time potentially, as well as the latest transfer news involving De Jong, Vitina, Dane Henderson, Anthony Martial, Timber and much more. Lots to talk about tonight. Melp says economic levers. Trust me, you're going to be hearing about economic levers a lot tomorrow, and I'll explain why in a minute, and we'll talk about this transfer budget cut and why actually tonight we're still in a situation with Manchester United. Well, we've got a good analogy to come. Let me just say that. Mark, becoming as slow to start these streams as United are at transfer windows, says Adam. At least I do start the streams, Adam, though. Man United don't start the transfer window, do they? But before we get into anything tonight, of course, Manscaped, you can see it there. You can scan the QR code. You can get 20% off with the code United Stand. The ownership blows, says Kana Dave. Well, I tell you what doesn't blow. Manscaped. Manscaped. Summer's here. The sun is shining. It's time to get yourself smooth and cool in the area that matters. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. And like 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, you can look brilliant down there. In summer, you want to kill some cold beers and barbecues, not kill the vibe with pubes peeking out your swim trunks. That's why Manscaped has their Performance Package 4.0 to keep the party in your pants looking crisp and refreshing all summer long. So dive headfirst into summer with our 20% off plus free shipping United Stand code with the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. This is the Manscaped 4.0. As I said, trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. It's got adjustable lengths for you. It's got a travel lock. It's got a light so you can have a more precise shave. It uses electromagnetic induction charging, so you don't need a longer battery life and you don't need a cable for it. It also features the Performance Package where you get the Weed Whacker, which goes up your nose. Very good. Crop Preservable deodorant, Crop Reviver, travel bag and Performance Boxer briefs. Fantastic products with Manscaped. Really, really, really good products. I do use them. I do, especially on days like this where it's really hot. You know, you're looking for ways to cool yourself down, and it's a great way to shed a bit of hair, I suppose. So there you go, 20% off with the code United Stand. Manscaped, they do ship worldwide. You get free worldwide shipping. Check it out. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. Big shout out to Manscaped as ever. I always enjoy doing those integrations. So big shout out to Manscaped. You always say about reading the room, glazers out, says Sean. And okay, look, let's fly straight into this show. Big shout out to Manscaped. Smash a like on the video. So we're going to start off with the headline, Ten Hag's budget cut. And look, I'm never going to not talk about what the situation is with Manchester United, and I feel that this summer transfer window, I don't know whether anyone saw the tweet I put out, and it was a picture, 2 pictures, Man United's transfer summer against reality, and basically it's a picture of what looks like 2 legs on an exotic beach, and then the second picture shows it's not 2 legs, it's 2 of those skinless sausages on a plate leaned over in front of a laptop picture of that beach. It's not real. And it's not the vision and it's not the fantasy. Brandon, welcome to the Members Club. So I feel that with Man United's transfer window, it isn't just scaremongering now. It isn't just impatience. It's not going the way we wanted it to go. This transfer window is odd. It's very odd. I think that when we got Ten Hag and when we got Richard Arnold, there was this belief that we were going to do something that we haven't done in the past 9 years, that we were going to be efficient, on the ball and ruthless. We're basically doing what we've done for the last 5 summers. It's slow to start. It's all over the place. It's unorganised. It looks a bit amateur. I feel like I've gone to the cinema and I thought I was going to watch Top Gun Maverick. Action, action, action from start to finish. Exhilarating, exciting action. I've sat down. I'm ready to go. I'm ready for action. And they've put Bridget Jones's Baby on. A rom-com. That's great, you know. If I'm with the wife, it's a few brownie points, and it's got its charm. But it's not an action film, and it's not what I was promised. And I feel that is what United have done. They should be done under the Trades Description Act, because there was a lot of hype about a lot of things, and United could have nipped it in the bud very easily. How many journalists said the budget's 125 million plus another 50 they'll get from sales? Where's that budget and where's the sales? I feel like we've been duped so far, and United need to do something about that. Mike Verway saying big chances for Timber to stay at Ajax this summer, getting really concerned we won't deliver on any first choice targets, says Joshua. Exactly Joshua. It feels like everything we were told is now disappearing. Timber was looking very, very good. It feels like he's been and spent a couple of weeks with Van Gaal, and it's like he don't want to come anymore. I don't know. Glazers out, bunch of prats, says C. And economic levers, how about Glazers not taking dividends as a lever, says James Rook. Well, look, we'll talk about those economic levers, but I want to talk about this Ten Hag budget cut. You may have seen Beth's show this afternoon, really enjoyed it. She was talking about Henderson going to Nottingham Forest. Right, let me just say this from the very off here. This is nothing short other than an absolute farce. If our budget is £125 million plus £50 million of sales, that's £175 million. You can buy 3 or 4 players with that, can't you? But you've got to have £50 million worth of sales. Where are the £50 million worth of sales coming from when 25 million of that, most of us were saying sell Henderson? He ain't getting sold anymore. He's going on bloody loan again. So this is what I mean about budget cuts. We're all talking about raising money from sales. Where are we raising this money? Dean Henderson was the most obvious way to raise £25 million. He's actually a keeper some people would pay £25 million for, and he's probably the most easiest player to sell because he wants to go. What do? Bloody loan him. So that's a budget cut straight away, because that's 25 million that could have been going towards the budget, messed up because we're terrible. I understand Martial. We'll talk about Martial later. He is a very difficult player to sell. His wages are ridiculous. Nobody really wants him. I'd like to get £30 million for Martial, but it's very difficult to do. Dean Henderson is probably the most valuable and easiest player to sell, and we're bloody loaning him. And on top of that, we're loaning him to a relegation team. I feel like bloody Beyonce. I'm getting deja vu. Like, what's going on at this football club? We loaned Dean Henderson to Sheffield United 3 years ago. He had a very good season. He was probably their player of the year. He kept them up. He came back to Man United. Well, it's like a bloody yo-yo. Go back to a relegation club for a year. I mean, what can Dean Henderson honestly do at Forest that he didn't do at Sheffield United? Oh, I was your player of the year and I helped you stay up. Yeah, we've been there. He's going to come back again next summer saying, I want to be United number 1 again, isn't he? And it's just stupid. Stupid. It's stupid on every part. I don't think it's a good deal for Dean Henderson. I think he's better than going to a relegation. I mean, all due respect to Forest, it's a good deal for them. But I think for Dean Henderson, just rinse and repeat. For Manchester United, I bet we're still going to pay some of his wages as well. I just don't get this. And for Erik Ten Hag, it's 25 million towards his budget he doesn't have. So that's a budget cut, isn't it? We got Ten Hag to get more out of our current crop of shite. His comments about our potential and second place finish was a red flag. We're beyond a joke. Jim Jam, I never really believed that at the time, but I am starting to believe it now. That, those comments about Erik Ten Hag and the potential of a team that finished second are actually becoming quite alarming by the day. Love the stream. Started watching in the beginning of the pandemic. Watch United stand every day since, says Pontus. Feels like this summer can be really exciting. I hope so. Timber isn't coming. Why would he? He will end up in Donny's situation, starting his career and stalling his career and missing out for Holland. We can only deal with players on free transfers or release clauses, says Sean Turner. And I thought we would get our business done early. Now looking like you had better have your different colour ties ready for the last day of the window, says Glenn. Mate, look, with every passing day, I am actually becoming more and more alarmed because it feels to me that we're doing this summer on the cheap. And that I'll talk about De Jong in a minute. I really think we're in trouble on the De Jong deal, and I'll explain why in a minute. I'm getting depressed by seeing Nunez going to Liverpool and Haaland to Man City to their already super good squads, and we're doing F all, says Spirit. What was the point of the club talking about a restart and getting Ten Hag in when they're operating in the same way they have for a decade, says Stephen. Look, it's not a done deal with Dean Henderson to Nottingham Forest yet, but I can't believe we've done that. I mean, I heard he was going to Newcastle for 25 million quid. Newcastle are a club that will be challenging for the Champions League in the next 2 years. For Dean Henderson to go on loan to Forest Is that how low the bar is? Is that how low the interest is? I mean, look, there's a fan club of Dean Henderson in our bloody fan base. They must be crying tonight. That's the fruit of Dean Henderson's quality, that Nottingham Forest want him on loan. I mean, they don't even want to buy him. Like, I can't believe it. I'm absolutely stunned by that. And it leads on to this budget cut. We don't know what the budget is. We've been told it's 125 million, but we've always been told it will be supplemented by sales. I ask you the question tonight. If Dean Henderson's going on loan, where are we raising 50 million quid from? Where are we going to get money from? Phil Jones, you'll be looking to get a post-it note. Eric Bailly, I don't know what we'll get for Eric Bailly because he's on big wages, so I don't know what. It's more about offloading him, not getting money for him. We might get 10 million, I don't know. Pereira, looks like he's coming back. Brandon Williams, don't think he wants to go. Twan Sebi may not want to go. Martial, we'll talk about him in a bit. I mean, I just don't know where we're going to raise 20 million, let alone 50. So we seem to be lurching from one panic drama to another. We've been talking about when the first signing's going to happen. It's looking more and more unlikely that we're going to make any sales. I mean, it only needs the budget to be down to 100 million, and that's the budget, because there's no sales coming in. So when people say, what do you mean by budget cut? I think we always felt we were operating with a budget of 125 plus 50 in sales, 175 million. I think at the moment we're probably operating around 100 million, which is not a lot. If you get if you did get De Jong, you can barely buy anybody else. So it is looking a bit worrying at the moment. I fear United will treat our loan players coming back as new signings instead of improving the squad, Jose. You know what? If Erik ten Hag has told this football club that he's going to get the best out of the players he's got, that's up to him. But as a fan who's been watching this club for the last 2 years, that is the biggest cop-out, money-saving, arsehole exercise I've ever seen from the club. An absolute joke. Those players last season were a disgrace. An absolute bloody disgrace. I don't care what Ten Hag says he can do with them. Some of those players don't deserve a second chance. They were bloody awful. If we're giving players with that attitude a second chance, that shows you just how much this club is about saving money. Because a proper football club would not keep those players at the club. They'd boot them out. And it shows you how it's all about the bloody bottom line at this football club. Because if that's the plan, to get Erik ten Hag to get more out of that bag of shit, they shouldn't even be allowed back into Carrington, some of them. So it just shows you the priorities of this football club if they've recruited a manager to get the best out of those players who couldn't be arsed. How many games last season did you sat there helplessly watching the team you love against big rivals thinking this lot ain't even trying? And you're telling me the plan next season is to give them another chance under a better coach? Nah, that's not how a football club works. That's not how Man City are working, or Liverpool or Chelsea. You get one chance at this football club and you piss off. And United, I tell you what, I'm probably miles off, but we've got to have that conversation, because at the moment, what are we doing? What is the plan? And I'm sorry, Erik ten Hag, we're all going to back him, but if he's come to this club and signed on the bottom line to work with what he's got, fucking hell, mate. What are you on? You know, you can't come to Manchester United as a manager and not demand massive money in your first summer. Even Ollie got 150 million quid spent on him. You know, you cannot sign a contract at Manchester United and not demand at least 150 million in your first summer. So we're going to have to watch and see that, because I don't for 1 minute think that Erik ten Hag hasn't said, I want at least 150 million in my first summer. And if he hasn't got that, I really worry about his judgment. So, look, I still remain confident that we'll make signings, but it's a very confusing summer at the moment. As I said, it's like walking into the cinema thinking you're watching Top Gun Maverick and Bridget Jones loads up. It's not action, is it? It's bloody rom-com. Seems like the Champions League teams are moving first and hoovering up the talent. Genuine questions. Is this normal? Says Luke Barnes. No, I mean, Villa have done some business. Fergie always said you need to improve your squad year on year to keep up. We are being willfully stupid. The club have already accepted mediocrity. Says Jim Jam. I saw the post about how City announced Haaland, Liverpool announced Nunez, and Man United post 0506 goals by Ronaldo were a joke, says Emil. Do you think Ten Hag could turn Bailly, Twan Sebi and a few other rejects into decent players? I'd rather that than the current bunch, says Toe. That to me is... Look, I'm probably way off with this, but I'll give you my opinion. I don't want to see Twan Sebi, Bailly, Brandon Williams, Martial, Rashford and all these players turned into good players. Like, that's just pure luck. That's just penny pinching. That's not what a big club does. You don't take the shit and go, I'm going to make you better. Like, you kick them out and you start again. There's not one bit of me that's excited about giving crap players another chance. And I don't mean all those players I've listed are crap, but like, that's not what a new manager's meant to do. As I said so many times, Manchester United's squad at the moment is 4 or 5 jigsaw piece puzzles mashed up together that you can't make a picture out of. There's a bit of Mourinho, there's a bit of Van Gaal, there's a bit of Moyes still, and there's a bit of Ollie, and it's all mixed up together. Ten Hag must be allowed to build his own team, not try and make a bloody puzzle out of somebody else's bits. ND says these players were given a second chance under Rangnick. They definitely don't deserve another one. Good point. Dutch and JPM News reports Man United PLC would be worth $17 instead of $11 if they show budget, contain and focus on MUTV subs. Record short time sold all season ticks. Focus pass to make more. I don't know what that means, Marco, at all, but I read it for you. City chairman said he sat with Pep the next morning after the title win to decide on new players, and we're still confirming Frenkie de Jong's agent number. Says Akshay. Why are we surprised? A leopard doesn't change its spots. The board is useless in the transfer market. We need 4 to 5 in and 5 to 6 out. That's almost a deal a week until the end of the window, and way too much to get done, says Adam. And I'm in hindsight, when Rangnick started talking about a full rebuild and they kicked him out, we should have seen this coming. I'm alarmed to say the least, says Jordan Brown. And Cardo says City, Liverpool, Real Madrid all shown ambition by making deals quickly. Biggest marketing club in the world shows less ambition than Spurs. That's from Cardo. There was a very good point there that came in from Adam, and he's absolutely spot on. And we've not mentioned this yet, this summer transfer window, but we do need to mention it. We're on the 15th of June. There's 2 weeks left in June, there's 4 in July, and there's 4 in August, plus probably another 1. So we've got about 11, 12 weeks left of this transfer window. That's all we've got, 11 or 12 weeks. Somebody will do the maths. It's either 11 or 12 weeks left, right? We need to still sign 4 or 5 players, and we need to sell 5 or 6 players. That means we've got to do a deal a week, like Adam says. We're not doing a deal a week. So straight away, I can tell you now, we ain't signing 5 players and we ain't selling 6 players, because we just can't do it. We're out of time already. We can't do that. I'd love to be proven wrong, but the past tells us we can't do it, and we're just not going to do that, are we? We're not going to have the summer we thought we were going to have. We're not going to buy 4 or 5 and sell 5 or 6, on top of the 5 that have walked out the door. Already, it is staring us in the face that the big idea is to actually use the line, a year ago we finished second, we've got a loads of potential, and that's what they're going to try and do. Let's get the best out of what we've got. And I'd feed into that with what Simon Stone said. Simon Stone said Anthony Martial at the moment doesn't know what his future is. He'll be back in training on the 27th of June, and he'll see what happens from there, like a lot of other people have said. So I think that when it comes to that, it sounds to me, if Ralph Rangnick had been kept at the club, I think him and Erik ten Hag would have sat down and Rangnick would have said, let's get some players in early, but let's get rid of these players. And these are the players you need to get rid of. But because Rangnick's been removed, Fletcher is everybody's mate. Murta, I don't know what he does. So there's nobody at that club saying to Ten Hag, sell Bay, sell Brandon Williams, sell Twansebi. That's not really happening. What's going to happen is they're all coming back to training on 27th of June with a big smile on their face. And Erik ten Hag could easily go, oh, I quite like them in training, and keep them. Like, we're doing exactly what happened with David Moyes. David Moyes didn't start work until the start of July and just gave everybody another chance and decided from there. And it feels like Martial, Brandon Williams, Twansebi, Eric Bailly, Phil Jones, they're all going on the tour and they're all getting another chance. These are players that we should have been clearing out. They should have been cleared out. They're not going to be good enough. And they should be cleared out. But it sounds like what's happening with everybody again is, and the reason everything's being delayed, is everyone's going to be given another chance. They're all going to go on the tour. They're all going to get a bit of game time. And what does that mean? It means on the tour, you're giving game time to about 7 or 8 players that shouldn't even be on the tour, which means some of the younger players don't go on the tour, which means people like Garnacho and Mabry get less time than they would have done if we got rid of those players. So it is a bit alarming that it sounds like the decision is to take a look at some of these players before selling them. Well, you don't need to take a look at Eric Bailly again. You don't need to take a look at Twansebi again. You don't need to look at Brandon Williams again, or Phil Jones again, or Anthony Martial again, or Andreas Pereira again, or Aaron Wan-Bissaka again. You don't need to take a look at these players. Look at what they did on loan last year. Look at what they did for Manchester United last season and the year before. Decision time should have been early June on those players. They're up for sale. Go and find a club with your agent. These players won't be looking for moves. They'll be like, well, we're going back to training. We'll see what happens there. So we've wasted all of June if that happens. It doesn't seem very focused at the moment. And I would almost guess that behind closed doors, that club's in a panic state at the moment. I don't think it's organised. I don't think it knows what it's doing. And I think that's why we're getting very mixed messages about a lot of things. Have you seen reports on La Liga filing complaints to UEFA alleging Man City and PSG breached financial fair play? Also, who's De Gea's backup if Henderson goes, says David Page. I don't know. If hypothetically Ten Hag said he will take best out of this cope of players, he dug his own grave there, and his comment this team comes second every press conference make me believe he thinks that, says Jay. Ten Hag indecisivity is the reason why we're so slow in the market. He's only recommending Ajax players. His lack of ball knowledge reeks Poch in, says Rash. Oh my God, we don't want to read that, but he did do a super chat. What can the fans do to get behind get the board fired? That's the major shake-up that's needed, says Jew. All we can do is comment on what happens day to day at that club. There's absolutely no reason why next week we might not have signed 2 players and sell 2 players. I don't believe it will happen, but it could happen, and I would applaud it. I said if they appointed Ten Hag, I would applaud it, but I expected Pochettino. They appointed Ten Hag. So look, they might surprise us, but I think it was Andy Mitten said today about Frenkie de Jong. There's nothing imminent on Frenkie de Jong. Economic levers. Let me talk about this. Sean Finity says, hi Mark, glad you got a little break. Who do you tip for your yearly panic signing? I vote King or Sarr, says Sean Finity. I think the fact that Ollie's not here anymore, we won't sign King or Sarr, so I don't know about that. But in relation to De Jong, somebody just said, is there an update, Faris? We are going into next season with a worse squad than this season. Maybe a signing to help, says Ray Cowley. I think that's a great point from Ray as well before I give an update on De Jong. Let's not forget, we haven't got Cavani and Pogba and Matic and Mata anymore. Forget Lingard. Those 4 players actually, in their own way, are better than a lot of the players that are staying behind. So we are weaker. You're right. We're a weaker squad going into the season than we were last year, which is quite a scary thought. Mark, what happened to Timber news? Are we signing him, says Ram. I've not heard anything on Timber. It's gone very, very quiet. But don't forget, Ollie sold Lukaku for 75 million to get that 150 million spend, says Asher. Very good point. Very good point, Asher. You make a very good point there. Net spend wasn't 150 million, was it? So, on De Jong, economic levers. If you've been keeping your eye on Barcelona, and as I always say, I respect Barcelona fans. They've had a difficult year. They had to sell Messi a year ago, which was very sad, even as an outsider, to watch. The next 24 hours for Barcelona are going to be very key. Tomorrow, specifically, the 16th of June, there is a meeting tomorrow where Barcelona's board are going to vote on economic levers. Now, the rumours are that these economic levers, which involve things like TV rights and other rights that people are bidding for, if they vote to go with these economic levers, that the club will be awash with hundreds of millions of pounds. And if they are awash with hundreds of millions of pounds, their financial difficulties will disappear and they'll be able to buy the players that they want. Obviously, if their financial woes disappear, they don't need to sell Frenkie de Jong anymore. And if they sell Frenkie de Jong, it'll be because they want to sell Frenkie de Jong, not because they need to sell Frenkie de Jong. And if they want to sell Frenkie de Jong, they don't need to sell him cheap. So tomorrow is going to be a very big day. And all I'm going to say is hold your breath. Because I've read a lot of things from Barcelona outlets and in the knows and fans over the last hour. And there's a lot of confidence. There's a bit of trepidation, but there's a lot of confidence in the Barcelona fan base that they're going to vote tomorrow to secure these economic levers that will bring money into the club. And if they do that, then I don't know where that leaves Man United with Frenkie de Jong, other than the old proverb, up a shit creek without a paddle. We've got nowhere to go. We'll be just drifting through shit on a boat with no paddles. And I don't know how we've put ourselves into that position over the last 5 weeks. I don't know. Look, I've been monitoring it. I'm sure many of you have been monitoring it. And I've always thought that Barcelona have got 2 or 3 options to raise a lot of money. They've just got to vote for one of them. Man United have hung around in this race for 5 weeks. I would have hoped they were doing that more than just waiting on outside a door begging hoping that he's going to walk out. Like, I thought we might have thought we were in a stronger position than this. So I still hope and believe that Man United have and do know more than we know. But it does feel like this summer transfer window, which never should have been like this anyway. As I said, back in April, nobody ever thought we were going to sign a player of the quality of Frenkie de Jong. We thought we were going to have to work hard this transfer window. We're going to have to buy 4 or 5 players for 30, 40 million quid and rebuild the club. And actually, the last month and a half, we've spent time trying to buy one of the world's best midfielders. And if we don't get him, we are going to look absolute prats. Absolute prats. To stand around the Nou Camp for 6 weeks thinking we're going to get Frenkie de Jong and then not get him. So tomorrow is going to be very interesting on what the Barcelona board decide to do. All I'd say is they do have options, and there is, rumours that they will take those options. Hi Mark, glad you have done that one. Hove says 16-year-old dealing with our transfers, give him time. Says Hove. Basaka won't suddenly turn into Trent. Maguire won't suddenly turn into Van Dijk. McTominay ain't becoming a Rodri. Pereira won't turn into De Bruyne, even under Sir Alex Ferguson with Pep as his assistant. Very good point, Andy, actually. I know what you're trying to say. James says, this is depressing, the amount of deadwood we have, and another season where we are linked to so many but get second-tier players. We're not a big club anymore, says James. Sorry if I missed it, but Mike Verwell just said Timber is likely to stay. Just came out. I'll have a look at that, Fame. And based on the 1-3 rule, Barca cannot bring players in based on those economic levers. They need to sell to buy. They already have salary caps, says Mario. Yeah, Mario, this is where I sort of check out a little bit, because you've got to be a Barcelona fan and you've got to understand the La Liga rules. But what I was reading is that if Barcelona sign these deals off, they'll get rid of the 1-3 rule. And the 1-3 rule, like you say, is they've got to bring in £3 to spend £1, basically. But a lot of what is being written is that if they get these deals done, they'll get out of the 1-3 rule. So tomorrow is a very big day, Mario, and we'll learn more. As I say, I still remain 75% sure that we'll get De Jong, because we've been led up a garden path by everybody about this deal. I can't believe that we're actually just waiting cap in hand on the off chance. Question, why would we want him? He clearly doesn't want to come here. As you said before, we need players to feel proud to wear the shirts, says Michael T. The minutes when Ralph Rangnick left our club, it said everything. We are not rebuilding. We're only changing manager and hoping that everything is fine. Same old story with the Glazers. Nothing will change, says Mini 19. It's not all doom. It's not all doom and gloom, though, is it? I mean, I've said this before and I'll say it now. And if I'm wrong on this, I'm happy to be clipped. But regardless if we had the summer transfer window we wanted, regardless if Ten Hag gets us playing good football quite quickly, there will be times next year where we get humiliated. Whether it's away to Newcastle, home to Liverpool, at the Emirates, there will be games next season where we get absolutely hammered, because we're not going to flick a switch with this team. Like you say, Harry Maguire's not going to become Van Dijk, Rashford's not going to become Salah, and Fred's not going to become Fabinho. That's not going to happen. We will still have weaknesses even if we buy 4 or 5 players. This is still a long build. How long it takes, or even if it's possible, depends on what we do in the summer transfer window. And what I will say is this. If we have a weak first summer under Erik Ten Hag, it's only going to get weaker. If the message sent by this club with Erik Ten Hag's first summer is quite weak in relation to what we spend and what we bring in, it's not like in season 2 they're going to suddenly spend a lot of money on him. If you look at Van Gaal and Mourinho and Ollie, first summer's always the big one, and then it gets less and less and less. In this state after the World Cup, Poch will be Manchester United manager and Ollie get Bruno in January. Almost 145 million, says Jay. And we aren't going for a centre-back. We wanted Nunez and Nkunku. Third choice is Tammy Abraham. De Jong isn't happening. Eriksen and Vitina will be the midfield. It's going to be an awful season, says Sean Turner. Well, you know what? I want to talk about Vitina very quickly before we talk about Timber then. I saw something this afternoon about Vitina. I think it was Alex Crook who does Talk Sport, and he was saying that Vitina is not an alternative to De Jong. I completely disagree. I think he is an alternative to De Jong. And it was basically saying that De Jong's the replacement for Pogba and Vitina of Porto is the replacement for Matic. Vitina may be many things, and he may be able to play in a midfield too with De Jong, but he ain't Matic. He's nothing like Matic. He's not a CDM. He can play in a midfield too. You probably could play De Jong and Vitina together. But if you were going to Anfield to keep a clean sheet, you wouldn't play Vitina and De Jong together because they're too, not attack-minded, but they're not defensive. He's not defensive. He's a passer. He's energetic. He carries the ball, but he's not a Basuma. He's not a Fabinho. He's not a Rodri. He's not a Carrick. He's not like that. So I actually do agree with Sean. I think that if we didn't get De Jong, we'd probably go with Vitinha and Eriksen, which is a somewhat lacklustre summer from what we've been promised, isn't it? Or what we've been led to believe. Revert back to early window expectations. Basically nothing. Frenkie de Jong was an opportunity. Seems we need to refocus on smaller targets, says Treble Champ. Yeah, which is absolutely fine. I would actually say, Treble Champ, if we don't get Frenkie de Jong, we never should have bloody gone in. My frustration if we didn't get Frenkie de Jong was we never should have gone for him in the first place. I think some clubs can go, dare to dream, let's try and get him. It's a bit like Liverpool going, let's try and get Mbappe, which apparently they did, and they didn't get him. That's fine if you're Liverpool, because if you don't get him, you've got a very good team. United are not in the position. In fact, it's a little bit arrogant to think you can get Frenkie de Jong. And if you think you can get him, you've got to get him. Because if you don't get him, people will go, why did we waste so long going for a player like that? We're not in the Champions League. We're nowhere near a good team. We're at day one of a really big rebuild. Why did we waste time on a marquee signing? And I think that will be the frustration if we don't get him. United will ruin Eriksen. I fear for him, says Hove. Okay, I'm just going to have a quick look here because a few people are talking to me about this Timber thing. Okay, here we go. So European lads actually messaged me, so I'm going to go straight to his Twitter. Manchester United are expected to report themselves at Ajax for the signing of Antony. Ten Hag believes he's a fantastic player, but the price tag of Antony is quite high, which might not suit the budget of Manchester United. That's by Mike Verwey, who's a very good journalist around Ajax. So a little bit of a positive update on Antony there, but effectively may not be positive because the price might be too high for the Man United budget. Now remember, we know what the price is for Antony. It's 50 million quid. So 50 million quid's too high for United. You start to worry what the bloody budget is. And obviously if you get De Jong for 70 and Antony for 50, that's 120 million, and that's probably all we've got. Mike Verwey says, Jurrien Timber's decision tends to more and more to staying. He will now go on holiday where he can think more about his future, but the chance of him staying in Amsterdam are now pretty big, and that's from Mike Verwey. So that's a pretty big update on Timber, to be fair. Yeah, I'm a bit surprised about that. We've always had pretty good info on Timber, and as I said a couple of days ago, it's gone very quiet on him. That's probably the biggest update there's been on Timber in about 2 weeks. So about 3 weeks ago, Man United had been in talks with Timber. There was agreement on him coming to Manchester United in relation to terms. There wasn't agreement from Ajax. They had to sort out a fee with Ajax. He's obviously been on international duty, and whilst on international duty, to be fair, it did start about, him staying at Ajax for another year. And obviously that has become true. Now, what I was told from a very good source about Timber, Dutch source, was there's no way Timber will sign a new contract at Ajax. Now, the importance of that is that Timber, I think, has got 2 years left on his deal. Ajax want him to sign a new contract with a release clause. So basically, they don't extend his contract. It stays for 2 years, but he's got a release clause and he gets a wage increase. So they know they're selling him next summer. They don't want him to sign for 5 years. They keep him on the 2-year deal. They give him more money and they put a release clause in. So at the moment, he's on, let's say Timber's on 50 grand a week, which I don't think he is. Let's say he's on, I don't know. Let's say he's on 50 grand a week, right? He's got 2 years left on his deal. He's on 50 grand a week. He doesn't sign a contract, but stays at Ajax. Next year, 1 year left on his deal, Ajax have got to sell, and they've got to sell cheap because he's got 1 year left on his deal. He could do a Gravenberch and go for, nothing. I think Gravenberch was out of contract, I'm not sure. But he can go for very little. Ajax don't want to be in that situation. They want to keep him for a year, but they don't want to lose him for nothing next year, or next to nothing. So what they do is they say to Timber, we don't want to extend your contract. You still have 1 year left on your deal next summer, and we will sell you. But we want to put a release clause in there of about 40 million, which is reasonable. And we'll give you 75 grand a week for the next year. That's what Ajax want to put on the table for Timber. I was told 3 weeks ago that Timber will not sign a new contract with Ajax. Therefore, Ajax will have to sell because they don't want to be in a position where that release clause isn't in place. Now, something seems to have changed over the last 2 weeks. I think we all know what's changed over the last 2 weeks. It's Louis van Gaal, isn't it? It's been with the Dutch squad. There's no Man United player in the Dutch squad, remember? There's no positive influence on him in that Dutch squad to say to come to Manchester United. If anything, he's probably talking with Van Dijk, Louis van Gaal, and people like that. Louis van Gaal has publicly spoken about he doesn't really want players moving in the summer because he wants them to be playing first-team football. For Louis van Gaal, I'm not criticising him here. I know he's a bit bitter about United, but if you're Louis van Gaal, would you want a player moving anywhere with the risk of them not playing at the start of the season, or do you want them to stay where they are regularly playing? It helps them in the World Cup. So I think that what's happened is he's had people in his ear saying, you're 20 years of age, you don't need to move now. Just there's a World Cup at Christmas. Next season's going to go like that because you play 3 months, World Cup, you come back, you play 4 months, it's the summer. This is a season that's just going to go, boom, stay where you are for a year. And I think that's probably what's happened over the last 2 weeks because it wasn't his mindset before he went on international duty. And it'd be very interesting now if he signs the contract, because if he doesn't sign the contract, it doesn't massively benefit Ajax. So we'll have to wait and see. Could the lack of transfer activity cause Ronaldo to leave? Says Stephen. The thing with Ronaldo is, where will he go? Look, where will he go? So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Sub-Zero says Mark's making things up. Yeah, mate, I always make things up. That's why we've had scoops over the last 3 weeks that other people haven't had. Ronaldo's injury, Anthony hitting the UK press 2 days before I said it would happen. So yeah, but we don't get any information. Don't worry about it. You know, we've never had any top tier journalists on the show or anything like that. We get absolute no information. In fact, what I normally do before I go live is I just make things up and write it down. Yeah, that's generally what I do. Respect how calm you've been. I'm fuming, says Adam Brown. And Timber shouldn't be easy. So yeah, look, you know, I think where we are at the moment is that everything is... Tomorrow's going to be a big day. A very big day, because we will get that Barcelona update. And I think that... Who knows which way it's going to go. Who knows? I think it's very difficult. Hi Mark, hope you're well. We have been massively focused on De Jong this window. It's a massive risk. We could get Sangari and Anthony for the same price, says Job. I mean, somebody did just say a minute ago, beyond the fear about the transfer budget, beyond the fear that this summer is not going where it's going, who do you think the targets are for United? And I think that's a really good thing to say, because the targets for Manchester United are this. De Jong is the number one priority. I think we all know that. Timber is the number one centre-back priority. Nunez was the number one striker priority. Anthony is the number one right wing priority. Dumfries is probably the number one right back priority, and Malacia is probably the left back priority. Second midfielder, God knows. I don't even know if we're buying a second midfielder. I know Neves was the backup to De Jong. Fatina is very interesting, but as a reset, speaking to many different people, United's priority at centre-back is Timber. At midfield is De Jong. Up front it was Darwin Nunez. On the wing it's Anthony. I don't know who the second midfielder is. And full-back's probably Dumfries and Malacia. But the four definites were Timber, De Jong, Darwin Nunez and Anthony. We were never going to get all four of them because it doesn't work. Timber's about 40 million. De Jong's about 70 million. Nunez is 70 million, and Anthony is 50 million. So you've spent 230 million there, which we were never going to do. But they were the four priorities. Well, we're not getting Darwin Nunez. There's concerns about Timber. De Jong, some people are concerned about. Anthony, probably we will get. I'd say at the right here, right now, I think Anthony's the most likely player that we sign. But yeah, you know, we can all moan and we can all be stressed. We can all be stressed and we can all be frustrated and impatient, but yeah, we're not in a situation where we don't know who the targets were. Timber, Darwin Nunez, Anthony and De Jong. We were never going to get all four, but they were the four priorities, probably three of them. I like Timber's quality. If he can't back his own ability over Maguire and Lindelof, he is a coward personality, and don't go for him again, says Jay. I mean, you know what, Jay? I think you're right. I don't know about anybody else, but when we were linked to Timber, and the reason Ten Hag wants Timber is not to put him on the bench. I think he's there to go straight into the team. He's definitely better than Lindelof and Maguire. I mean, the only doubt is, can he do it in the Premier League? But he's done it in the Champions League. He's definitely a better defender than them. And the reason he's a better defender than them is because he plays in the system Ten Hag wants to play. Lindelof and Maguire don't suit, on the face of it, the way that Ten Hag wants to play. Now, we may end up going for Pau Torres, which is not a bad alternative. But I think it would be a shame not to get Timber because I think he will suit the system better. The person I feel sorry for the most in all of this is, number one, the fans. I always feel sorry for the fans first and foremost because Ten Hag's paid to be Man United manager. Those players are paid to be Manchester United players. The board are paid to do that job. You are fans and you love this football club. You know, through thick and thin, it's a passion. The next person I feel sorry for is Erik Ten Hag because we already know he didn't get Darwin Núñez and that was his priority striker. If he doesn't get Timber, that's another one he's not got. If he didn't get De Jong, that's another one he didn't get. But regardless of what happens with De Jong, if he doesn't get Timber and he didn't get Darwin Núñez, that's two positions he's not got his number one position targeting. And I think Darwin Núñez was probably a little bit unrealistic, but I don't think expecting to get Timber was unexpectable, do you? I really don't. Just a couple of other things. Pereira. Andres Pereira. Apparently Man United have turned down a fee of £10 million from Flamengo. And that's because they've got a better offer. Now, if that comes true, happy days. But if we can get £10 million for Pereira, I'll drive him there myself. I'll swim him. He can swim on my back. Well, I mean, I'll drown before we get to bloody Isle of Wight, let alone Brazil. But look, if we can get £10 million for Pereira, that's great. But as with all of these stories, I'm just a little bit dubious because it's only 2 weeks ago that we were getting 25 million for Dean Henderson from Newcastle, and now he's going on bloody loan, where we're probably going to pay his bloody wages. Your reaction if McFred starts in midfield next season, says Salah Ahmed. Mate, I'm not going to say that won't happen. What did I say last summer? I said, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer picks McFred next season, he'll be sacked. And he was. If Erik Ten Hag thinks McTominay and Fred are going to keep him in a job longer than 3 years, it's not going to happen. They're not good enough. But I'm sure, I'd be very surprised if they don't play together at some point. A player with a heart problem like Christian Eriksen should not join Manchester United, says Bruce Wayne. I don't really get that. Hi Mark, keep up the great work. Your content on here makes me happy every time, says Carmine. Forget Frenkie de Jong. Let's get Timber, Neves, Anthony and Eriksen for free. 130 million, so possibly budget. I mean, you know what, Shane? That's not a bad idea. Timber, Neves and Anthony. I mean, that's the sort of summer I thought we were going to have. I know it's not massively exciting, but we are a team that's just finished 6th that's going to be in the Europa League. I never expected us to go and get world-class players because that's not where the club has put itself. I know it's unlikely, but could United be looking to do a treble reveal but De Jong holding it up? Nah, it's very unlikely, Ray. And the reason it's unlikely, I'd love to say there's a chance, there's always a chance, but we know United like a sieve, and there's so many. You know what? If Man City are doing transfer business and Liverpool are doing transfer business, people want to know. But if Man United are doing transfer business, people are obsessed by it. That's why it comes out. People think it's because Liverpool and Man City are really good at transfers. They are, but it's not that they're massively secretive. It's just the interest and hype is just always massive around United. Please do subscribe to the channel, by the way. Bottom right-hand corner. We are very close to 357,000. We're only 100 away. So bottom right-hand corner to subscribe. Keep yourself involved. There will be times when we sell and buy players. I know it sounds miraculous, but it will happen. And it could happen at any time. So make sure you click the button in the right-hand corner and subscribe. And tick the bell to get all notifications when we go live. Would you take Ollie back as a director of football? No! HAG'S! You've done it on purpose. You're trying to wind me up. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as director of football because he had good transfers for cheap. Where? You're winding me up. Oliver Cook, welcome to the Members Club. Just when I was calm, you've wound me up. When did Ole Gunnar Solskjaer do well at recruiting players? £80 million on Harry Maguire, one of the worst deals we've ever done. £50 million on Wan-Bissaka, one of the worst deals we've ever done. £35 million on Donny van der Beek and he doesn't pick him. £75 million on Jadon Sancho and he benches him for the first 3 months of the season. Like, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was not a good transfer manager. The only time anybody ever mentioned he was when in season 1 Wan-Bissaka and Maguire looked okay and Dan James looked okay and people were like, oh, he looks really good. But it's year 2 where you find out about signings. This is why it's a big year for Jadon next year. Surely a rejuvenated Bay would be better than Maguire next season. Yeah, I think we've passed. I think we've gone past that though. You know, even I am past playing Eric Bailly ahead of Harry Maguire. I mean, we've been talking about that for 3 years and it doesn't happen. Thoughts on Jones versus Maguire, says Rohit. What for Stoke? I mean, not in a Man United shirt, thank you. No, not in a Manchester United shirt. I don't want to see that. Yeah, so we've had this update from Mike Verwey, who's very good around Ajax. Man United in for Anthony, but they might be put off by the price. Timber looking more and more like he might stay at Ajax, which is might be quite interesting. Yes, it is interesting. It is interesting. It's going to be a very interesting. I mean, it might not be nice, but it's going to be. It's going to be interesting. There's no shadow of a doubt there. I think that you know, it's not what we expected already. We can tell that. But you know, we're dealing with a football club that's been pretty poor when it comes to transfer business over the last 9 years. So it's pretty difficult to be optimistic about a quiet period at the start of a massive transfer window. And look, let's talk about it on the calm for a minute. We are a club that's at its lowest point. Last season proves that. We are a club that's miles off where it needs to be. We are a club that over the last 9 years has been terrifically terrible in the transfer window. And we've started this enormously important transfer window very, very quiet. It takes a very brave and optimistic Man United fan to be sat there in the middle of June in their garden, sipping a pina colada going, everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. No woman, no pride. It does. It takes a very, very brave and optimistic person to be that. Because when you stack up everything I've said about, you know, where we are as a club and where we've been over the last 9 years, and then you add into the fact that the transfer window's officially been open for nearly a week, but we've not really been doing anything for the previous 4 or 5, you do start to go back to what I said a few minutes ago. There's 11 or 12 weeks left in this transfer window. We need to buy 4 or 5 and sell 5 or 6. That means we've got to do a deal a week. Well, we're going on tour for 4. We never do anything on tour. And then the season starts for the final 4. So we're going to do a deal a week. We're not going to do a deal a week, are we? I would predict at the moment, and I really hope I'm going to get proved wrong, I think we're going to sign 3 players and we're probably going to sell 2. And that's where I think we are at the moment. I can't see the summer that we were meant to have. And I really want to be wrong, but I don't think the budget's going to be what we thought it was. I'll be stunned if we spend 170 million all in, which I thought we would. I think the net spend will be below 100 million. I think we'll spend about 130 and we'll probably sell about 35 million. So it'll be a 95 million net spend. And like I say, I think we'll still have a lot of the deadwood at the club under the second chance bullshit. They'll all be smiling. You know what? I'm not going to name names, but some people that should have been sold, they'll all be like this in their, you know, their vest tops in Australia, you know, and it'll be the same story as the last 9 years repackaged. I think that's what we're heading for at the moment. And that, I'm not being a doom merchant, I'm being realistic. And therefore, if that doesn't happen, I'll be pleasantly surprised. So I'm not being negative. I'm not being a doom merchant. I'm looking at it and going, tell me what we're doing, because I don't know what we're doing. There's not really any... We're trying to get De Jong. I think we all know we're trying to get De Jong. We wanted to get Darwin Nunez. We didn't. We want Timber. We don't know what's happening there. And we want Anthony, but he might be expensive. So that's what we know on recruitment. We don't know anything on exits. We've got about 11 weeks left of the window. We're going on tour in 2.5 weeks. The season starts in about 6.5 weeks. I'm just like, I'm doing the maths and I'm going, yeah, I can't see us buying more than 3 players. And I can't see us selling more than 3. 2 or 3. Which is nowhere near enough. So predicting this transfer window and marking it out of 10, I would say at the end of if it goes the way I think it's going to go, it's going to be a 6 or 7 out of 10 when we needed it to be a 9. And I think our net spend will be just under £100 million, 95 million with sales, which is not where it needed to be. It needed to be up at, you know, around 125. So we'll see. I am a little bit concerned at the moment. And I think, as I said, tomorrow is going to be a very big day because Barcelona are going to announce something tomorrow, and whatever they announce could kill any Frenkie de Jong deal. Because if Barcelona find a way to raise money and get themselves out of the financial restrictions, they don't need to sell a player. And if they don't need to sell a player, we're up a shit creek without a paddle, really. There we go. England will be back from the game. Okay. I expect Maguire and Rashford to retire or leave when their legs are gone. So sad, says DK. Why aren't there any protests going on, says Carlos. I mean, you're not going to get protests in the summer, mate. It wouldn't be a good idea to do them in the summer. Hi, Mark from Cape Town, South Africa. Can we question the Sir Alex era now? How great was it those standards and ethics were not transferred to assist the next era? We're in the set next era and we're shite, says Kevin Williams. Thank you for the super chat from Lil. He says, apologies if I missed it. Are you down from 80% on Timber now? You arsehole. You respectful arsehole. Ajit, thank you for joining the members club. Right, I knew somebody was going to ask me this. So where am I on percentages? Okay. I remain 75% on De Jong. I cannot believe for the life of me. I've never had good information on De Jong. So I've always been honest on that. I've been 75% on De Jong based on everything you've read and seen. I cannot for the life of me believe that United have wasted 6 weeks on De Jong without a really big indication that they're going to get him. So if we don't get him, then we've all been conned. So I'm still 75% on De Jong. Mark, I was waiting for you to speak on this, but Barcelona might sell De Jong. They want Koundé now as well as Bernardo. Well, Gog, in relation to Barcelona, tomorrow's the big thing there. In relation to Timber, I've always been 80%. And the reason I've been 80% is that we've had some good information around Timber about his openness to come to Manchester United. And he didn't want to sign a new contract with Ajax. And Ajax would be willing to sell. Something's changed on the international duty. Now, I trust Mike Verwey. I'm not going to sit here and be stubborn and say he's wrong because we had this information 3 weeks ago. Things can change. United haven't acted quickly. If you don't act quickly, you leave that opportunity. Look at Darwin Núñez. Liverpool just swooped in. So that's why I was never 100% on Timber. That's why I left the 20%. I was 80%. I'm going to stay 80% on Timber, but I'll be honest, it should come down because Mike Verwey is really good around Ajax. So I don't blame people knocking it down, but I'm going to stay at 80% because I still, unless he signs the new contract to Ajax, I still think that deal's on. We can't sell unless Inter or Roma come calling, says Ray Cowley. And so Anthony, I've never given a percentage on Anthony. I'd say with Anthony at the moment, I'm probably 50-50. I do think he's the most likely signing, but I do agree that we probably haven't got the money for it if we get De Jong. So I suppose Anthony is probably on the back burner, dependent on De Jong. So yeah, I'd say a 50-50 on Anthony. Eriksen, not that I massively care. I like Eriksen, but I don't think he's a priority position. I really don't think another attacking midfielder is a priority for Manchester United. So I would say Eriksen, again, probably 50-50. He could go to Spurs, he could go to United. My thing with Eriksen is I do really like Eriksen, by the way, but he's not a right back, he's not a left back, he's not a centre back, he's not a midfielder, he's not a CDM, he's not a right winger, and he's not a striker. Therefore, he's not in the top 7 priority positions in my mind. So I like Eriksen, but, you know, it's a nice to have. It's not a need to have. And that's my issue with Eriksen. I really like him. I think he'd be a great addition to the team, but it's a bonus signing when we've got, you know what it is? It's like being in Man United or a dinghy, yeah? We're in a dinghy, shark-infested waters, they're circling us, and the boat is sinking. It's got 5 holes in it. If we don't plug those holes, we're going to sink in an hour. And if we sink in an hour, we're shark bait. We have got the money to buy 5 reasonable plugs or 3 or 4 really good plugs and leave 1 hole which we can just scoop the water out and stay afloat. Getting Eriksen is like spending the money on a flag that you can put a mast on. It's not going to stop us sinking. So that's my issue with Eriksen. I like him. He's a very nice flag, but it's not what we need to do, in my opinion. And we need to go and plug those holes. The only thing the board will sign off on time with their dividends. So pissed off with this club, says Man U Stu. Just very, very quickly on James Garner, by the way. I tweeted about it this afternoon. The indication is that he's not going to go back to Nottingham Forest on loan. Now, somebody this afternoon said if Dean Henderson goes on loan to Forest, they can't have two loanees from the same club. I don't know whether that's true. Somebody then said you might be able to do it, but the story is that he's not going to go back to Forest anyway. If he goes on loan, he will go to a different club. So, yeah, let's keep an eye on that one, because I don't think Garner is going to go. Garner will definitely and quite rightly be given a chance on tour, and he should be given a chance on tour. And I don't mind if we keep him, if we use him, but I don't think Garner is of the level of a De Jong or a Ruben Neves or a Vitina or someone like that. But I do think he's potentially better than McTominay, which is a step up. Is it possible the club does not make funds available to buy Anthony to force Eric Ten Hag to play Rashford? So Stephen Rossi. I don't. This is why Eric Ten Hag needed to sign a good contract, because if he signed a contract and then United say we're not giving you the funds, then they're in breach of contract. It would be lovely to know what was in the contract, because if we had the terms of the contract, we'd all sleep a lot easier. If it says in the contract, we'll give you £150 million in your first two summer transfer windows, we're laughing. We're all happy. If it says, we'll give you 70 million and you'll have to get on with what you've got, and he's signed it, we're all terrified. There will be something in that contract, but it'll be watertight and no one will know it. I'd love to know it, because we'd all sleep a lot easier this summer if we knew, but we don't. We don't. And one thing I will say, just going back to De Jong as well, I read this today, and this is pure conspiracy theory, so, take it as what it is. Laporta, president of Barcelona, somebody said today, what if Laporta has been talking about selling Frenkie de Jong for the last month and a half to make other board members vote to give up percentages on TV rights so that they don't have to sell De Jong? What if it's all a game by Laporta to say, oh, we've got to sell De Jong to raise money, and it will make other people vote to raise money in a different way, and they had no intention of selling him? What if De Jong even knows that himself? What if De Jong knows he's all part of the game? They're never going to sell him, really. It's just about, oh, we're going to sell him. Man United have got the money. And they're using De Jong to make other Barcelona members think, well, we can't do that. We need to sign off some of these deals. We're going to find out tomorrow. We're not going to find out if we're getting De Jong tomorrow, by the way. We're not going to do a deal with De Jong tomorrow. But the news that comes out of Barcelona tomorrow will be massive. I don't know what time it's coming out, but it will be massive, one way or the other. So, economic levers is something to listen out for tomorrow. Barcelona news is something to listen out for tomorrow, because that's going to tell us what's happening with this. And you know what? If tomorrow evening Barcelona have got a load of money and they say De Jong's not for sale, at least it's over. We'll look like complete prats, and we'll be like, where do we go from here? But at least it's over. You need to look at this from United's point of view. They've sold 4 players for free and bought Van der Beek from Everton. What more do you want? Says Colin Fish. Look, that actually makes me laugh. Actually. Yeah. Is Ten Hag on holiday? Yes, Stephen, but it's not Ten Hag's job to buy players, is it? You give the list in, you see what you get. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Make sure you check out Manscaped. It is absolutely fantastic in these hot, sweaty nights. Clear up a bit of space. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. Get 20% off with the code United Stand. They're really good products and you'll really like them. Free shipping worldwide as well. If you are a member of the United Stand Members Club, please check out the community tab, because I'm filming the exclusive video for this week tomorrow. You need to vote on it. We've got a few videos for you to choose on. Vote on that. If you want to become a member, click the members button. You get your badge next to your name, like Tommy and Joshua and other ones, and Ty. And please subscribe to the channel as well, bottom right hand corner. We're on the road to 357,000, so subscribe, bottom right hand corner. The plan is to be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. It's a big day tomorrow. I mean, I'm not going live for the fixtures. I know some people get excited about that. I'll leave you with this. Why the hell would I give a shit about Manchester United playing Wolves, Brighton and bloody Forest in the first 3 games of the season, when the team we're going to pick at the moment will be the same bag of shit we had last season? Why would I be excited about fixtures when I'm not excited about the team. So, yeah, I'm more interested in what's going to happen with Barcelona tomorrow. But I tell you what, it's been a great show tonight. This is what we do. This is what this community does. We ask the big questions and we dive into them and we say it how it is. And I think tonight, again, has been a very therapeutic show for me. So I thank you all. Hopefully you got something out of it as well. Say it how it is. At the moment, it's a very confusing show. And as I said, I came into this summer thinking I was watching Top Gun Maverick, full of action and exhilaration. I'm watching bloody Bridget Jones. And I tell you what, it's not a bad film, but it's not what I asked for. I didn't want romantic comedy and slow pace. I want fast pace action.